Thank you, devotees. So we were reading how someone who's Tesham Jnani Niti Yukta Ekabhakti Vishwa Shishyade Priyo hi Jnaninaha Atyartham Aham Sachamama Priyaha. So one important understanding is that so when the same nature of the soul is contaminated by the desire to lord over material nature, that nature is impeded. Okay, so actually, by nature we are knowledgeable. That is why we find joy when we have realizations. If by nature we were not knowledgeable, we would be happy even in illusion, is it not? So and by nature we are connected to Krishna. Everyone is connected to God. And everyone is trying to move towards God, actually. So wherever they find qualities of Krishna himself that are present, they get attracted. For instance, if they find someone very renounced, we get attracted. If we find someone very knowledgeable, we get attracted. If someone sings very well, we get attracted. So wherever there is some opulence, we get attracted. But right now in the conditioned stage, we do not know that attraction we feel is actually to Krishna, and whatever we are attracted to is also Krishna's emanation and potency only. That jnanam we don't have. Okay? And this knowledge is called Krishna consciousness. Consciousness means to be conscious. Conscious predominantly means that we are knowledgeable about something, we are aware of something, we become sensitive about something, and that thing, that something is the awareness that we are inherently connected to Krishna, and any sort of disconnection is our own imagination. Okay, so when this nature is being impeded by different extents of the same illusion, then there are four categories of people: artha, artharthi, jijñāsur, jnānī, all of that. So, so when we come to this realization that this is basically to be a jnana person, jnana ekabhakti vishishyate, this is very natural. And other religions, like I mentioned other time, I think, I'm not sure, they focus on artha, arthārthī, jijñāsu, that type of a worship. And anyone who criticizes anything religious, they would be able to criticize devotional service, usually artha and arthārthī. Right? It's very difficult. I mean, it's not possible to criticize Jijnasu and Jnani. So they do a strawman argument. Strawman argument means they reduce everything devotional to as if they are only doing it for artha. Like people usually say, you are praying to God because you're afraid. I am not afraid of anything. I can manage my emotions myself very clearly, so I don't need God in my life. Again, it's a very reductionistic idea of why people worship God. Now, the answer is very clear here. There are different categories of people who worship God, right? To reduce all of them as if they only worship due to fear is a very reductionistic strawman argument, right? So, and people also say, oh, you are, you want something, that is why you're going to God. We like, Prabhupada used to say this story from communism, right? You are going to God, God, church for your bread. So we only will give you bread loaves outside. Now, who's faster, we or God, Or someone might say, my son was born like this, my daughter was born like this. Could there be God? So when we associate God merely from an artha and artharthi perspective, it is very difficult to actually sustain our shraddha in God. That is why ekabhakti vishishyate is not possible. Correct? Because our attention is on matter, our attention is not on God. And we are using matter. Matter is our God, and God is the means to get matter. Okay? But for a jijñāsu and a jñānī, God is the goal and matter is the means. Okay? Now that's a huge difference. Okay? But still, Krishna is so kind. Even you have me as the means, or you have me as the goal, you have me in the picture, right? And so Krishna says, you are sukṛtino, Arjuna. Say, how kind is Krishna, right? So if it were us, if someone said, I'll use you to get something, then we would feel so exploited. We would feel so low. How dare he uses me to get what he wants? Is it not? We would feel very insulted in the process. But see how kind is Krishna, that everyone is using Krishna to get what they want. And instead of saying we are all bad people, Krishna says, at least you're asking me. You're touching me in some way, I love you, Krishna says. Sukṛtino Arjuna. And Krishna doesn't stop with that love. Krishna says, I'm going to give you something far more better just because you have come to me. Right? So how immensely kind is Krishna? Phenomenally kind. Right? So I am a normal person. If someone were to use me, I get hurt. And God, Krishna, mattaha parataram na anyat, kinchidasti dhananjaya, asito, devalaha, vyasa, janmadhyasya gatonvayat, artha. The Parat Purusha, right? He's Virat Purusha. Everything, everything emanates from him. That person is okay being used by us, insignificant, infinitesimal living entities living in a corner of Michigan doing something very insignificant. So and Krishna gradually lifts, and that's what Krishna says in the next shloka. Udaraha sarvayite jnānī tu ārtho. Udaraha. This person, though he uses me, he's not having me as a center. He ends up exploiting me to get what he wants. Krishna saying, Udaraha sarvayite. Right? Who can say that actually, except Krishna? Right? Krishna is saying, you're all very great. Udaraha sarvayite jñānī tu ātmaiva memas. So it is not possible to actually think of Krishna consistently being an artha and arthārthī, because the goal is matter. Right? And being, again, I mentioned this before, because our mind keeps on changing, my matter also keeps on changing. Manorathena dhāvatah sato bhihi. When we're situated in manoratham, manorathena dhāvatah. Dhāvatah means it jumps, right? So dhāvatah asatah bhihi, it goes outside. So we are not able to sustain our connection with God. So Ekabhakti vishishyate is not possible in artha and arthārthī. So I mean, I just wanted, the reason I came into this territory was usually when people find something to criticize about any worship of God, they usually focus on artha and arthārthī, right? And anything that is above that, people see the tendency to become atheistic is so much that we will avoid Krishna in every way. Okay, so artha and arthārthī, people worship God. Okay, but when it becomes jijñāsu and jnānī, I think I mentioned this before also, that people say this is spiritual, not religious, and they carefully avoid Krishna also. So in artha and arthārthī, you carefully avoid Krishna by prioritizing matter. And by jijñāsu and jnānī, you said, I'll carefully avoid Krishna in the, under the pretext of spiritual life. But ultimately, I end up neglecting Krishna. I don't want Krishna, right? So this is not what Krishna is saying, right? But even though we do that, Krishna is so kind, to still count them as being devotees, right? So, but Krishna says, this jnānī is not an impersonal jnānī, which is merely atmanasandhanam. Ekabhakti vishishyate. Bhaja sevayam dhatu. Right? So there is seva that is intended in this bhakti. Okay? And this bhakti is the jnanam of the aishwaryam of Bhagavan. Right? His sambandha jnanam has become sampurnam in him. Right? Because sambandha jnanam has become sampurnam in him, he understands the aishwarya vibhuti of the Lord. Right? Samagrasya viryasya yashasa shriyaha. Right? So in this way, he has jnanam of the aishwarya of the Lord. He is the jnanam of his anuswarupam. He is jnanam of the nature of the jagat. He is disgusted with this material world. This is a jnānī ekabhakti vishishyate. Unless one is completely disgusted with this material world, one cannot become a jnānī. Krishna mentions this in the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjam, acharya upasanam, sthiryam, atma vinigrhasta, indriyartheshu vairagyam, indriyartheshu vairagyam. Right? So one doesn't really feel any attraction to anything vishay, vairagya vidya, right? So sarvadharman parityajya. So he does not get excited by anything. Yasya tu sabe samarambhaha kamasankalpa varjitaha jnānāgnidagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddhaha. So sarve samarambhaha kamasankalpa varjitaha. Every endeavor is simply meant for the satisfaction of Krishna. There is no other excitement that enters his mind apart from the prospect of serving Krishna. If I notice within myself, there are so many exciting prospects that I am considering within my mind, and I am hoping that they be fulfilled. Now, that is not a symptom of being a jnani. Okay? The symptom of being a jnani, Krishna, that is Krishna's mentioning, is that there is no semblance of any sort of excitement that is going to come out of this material world, okay, save and accept the opportunity to engage in eternal service to my dear Lord at his very dear lotus feet. Now, if this causes me excitement, then I am a jnani ekabhakti vishishyate. But if there is a prospect, okay, I'll get a promotion, or maybe, my savings will increase, or what, I have invested in this stocks, my stock market is performing very well, or, the oil prices are going very high, very nice, so maybe I thank God I own an electric vehicle, or, what else is happening, right? So it's very cold, Thank God I'm working from home, I'm not going outside. Thank God I'm going to India on a vacation. I'm going to, Florida on a vacation. Oh, my daughter got just married. Oh, my son, got a job here. Oh, my son is taking care of me very well. I have a very nice son. Oh, that person doesn't have such a nice son. Oh, my daughter is so intelligent. Oh, she's so cute. My God. So there are innumerable ways we can get excited from this material. Oh, I have Amazon package. Oh, I've got a new iPhone. I got a new, Google phone. I got a new plan. I got a new stove. I now got a new refrigerator. I got a new house. I got, so many things, or maybe this person praised me. This person likes me. So innumerable ways of that excitement that happens in our mind, right? This is because of moham. This is not a symptom of a jnani. A jnani will not get excited. There is no spriha. All of the things I mentioned, these are collectively called spriha. Spriha means I'm touching the world, okay, very intimately, and I'm getting excited. This is called spriha. So when there is nispraha sarvakamebhyaha, Krishna is mentioning, there should not be any spraha. If there is spraha, then there is your jnani. I'm like you are contained in this moham. Right? There is moham. Tribhir gunamayi bhavi sarvo yebihi sarvamidam jagat. We are contaminated because what is there to get excited? There is nothing to get excited. But because of moham, I'm getting excited. I'm going to get married, I'm going to touch this boy, I'm going to touch this girl, and I'm going to so many things. So all of this is wholesale moham. Now, if I have Ekabhakti vishishyate, Ekabhakti means my only, I live in Krishna. Where do you live? I live in Krishna. What do you want to know? I want to know about Krishna. What is your pleasure? To serve Krishna. Okay. Where are you? I'm in Krishna. I'm not in India, I'm not in Auburn Hills, I'm not in Farmington Hills, I'm not in Novi, I'm not anywhere. Where are you? I'm in Krishna. The mind is in Krishna. Savaiva Krishna Padarvindayo. Because the whole world is Krishna. Krishna's Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate. This is very difficult because one has to give up all other sentiments. Because most sentimental worships, in artha and artharthi type of worship, right? You can get confused. I like Krishna and I'll have tears for Krishna also. But I'll also have tears for some Dongi Baba. For me, there is no difference. Ultimately, I have some sentiment. Okay, so what do I worship? I worship my sentiment. What do I like? I like the sentiment I feel when I worship God. I don't like God. I like the sentiment I feel when I listen to good music. I like the sentiment I feel when I go into a temple. So what do I like? I like my sentiment. I feel crying when I look at this sadhu. This sadhu, when he speaks, I don't feel like crying. So he must not be a good sadhu. When Prabhupada speaks, it is true. He's not speaking very nicely, softly, with nice background BGM with the flute coming. So these are all artha, artharthi categories, right? Karma, right? They are mixed with so many fancy ideas. They are mixed with so many false ideas of religion, false ideas of worship. So when we try to somehow elevate a person from an artha, artharthi platform to a jijñāsur and a jnānī platform, they get very irritated. Right? Why do you want to, why are you so fanatic? Right? Why are you hurting my sentiments? Right? Why are you saying artha and artharthi, the type of worship is bad? Right? So this is something that people normally don't like. Because people mostly think religion means I should feel some good sentiments. अंदर में कुछ भाव आना चाहिए. भाव आना चाहिए, right? Okay, but it must be on the platform of jnana at least. That is only the beginning, I'm saying. That is not the end still. The end is going to come later. Right? So people want to feel sentimental. Of course, to be sentimental on a spiritual platform is our goal. Yes. Kopi bhava rasamrita. Yes, that is true. But not so soon. Right? Don't pretend bhakti so soon. If you pretend bhakti so soon, then we can never become a bhakta. Okay? So to become a real devotee is not an easy task. I mean, I wouldn't say it's not an easy task. It is not a cheap task. Okay? It's not, I feel some sentiment. So, like, I see this a lot of Christians, and especially, when they give their testimonials, they usually say, you know what, I came to Jesus, the Lord of my heart. Oh, what a wonderful, He saved me, He washed from my sins. It's all okay. And He cured my father, He cured my grandfather, He cured my son. He did this, He did that. So, yeah, what do they want ultimately, Sentimental. Right? He did this to my son, he did this to my daughter, so Jesus is God. He's the King of God. He's the King of Kings. And this Baba did this, that Baba, this Mataji did this, X-Guru did this, Y-Guru did this. These are all, lower categories of devotees, Kanishthas, right? I will get this, ye karega to ye milega, ye karega to ye milega. This is all like lower categories. Right? So, as devotees of Krishna consciousness, as followers of Srila Prabhupada, we must be willing to become bold to come to the platform of, at least the platform of jnana, right? Ekabhakti vishishyate. And we must strive to come to that platform by becoming jijñasus. So jijñasu is the bridge between artha and artharthi and jnani ekabhakti vishishyate. So the more we are jijñasus in our own life, while reading, while chanting, right, while inquiring, have an open mind, question, then we can gradually come to that platform. But if you are sentimentalists, right, if you are cheap, if you are intellectually lazy, right, anything is okay, I won't think about anything, I won't dissect something, I'll feel what I feel, then we can't come to this platform of knowledge. Okay. And then beyond lies devotional service. Okay. So I'll just stop here. I know it's already took some more time. But it's such an interesting shloka with so many facets to it, which is why I spent, I think, a little time here. Any questions or comments? Nalika. Okay. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. You there?
Yes, Mataji.
So like we know, like you were explaining, Prabhuji, like Krishna says, there are 4 types of people who go to him, right? So people.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
amongst the 4 types, I mean, in this world, at some point, we'll all be one of those 4 types, right? So we need this, or we need that, or we want to know the knowledge. We want to understand who Krishna is, and eventually, all we want to do is serve him. But the point is, in the material world, it is not an easy task to be always wanting the jnana of the Lord, or wanting to serve him. It is, I mean, we only, I mean, like like there are 2 types of devotees. You were just explaining about Kanishta, and then, I mean, 3 types, right? Kanishta, Madhyama, and then the most
Uttama.
souls, Uttama, right? So the most
Yeah.
so to get to that, I mean, speaking for myself, even the desire of wanting to be something different than who I am, the desire of wanting to be a Uttama is also not there. I mean, you don't. I mean, all the fact.
We don't have to desire to be an Uttama or anything. The only thing we need to do at our point, at our level, is when Krishna uh, presents us a certain attachment we have, a certain illusion we are, what do you say, participating in. We should have the open mind to perceive it and give it up for Krishna. That is basically the process of yoga, right? So, like an emotional attachment I have, uh, and I should be able to give it up, okay? Or maybe a physical attachment I have, so I must strive, okay? So the more and more I strive in that direction, and where do I get the strength to strive for it? That comes by knowledge. Knowledge means one way to think of something and leave it is that it is bad. That's a little difficult. Another way is to understand that it is foolish. I have nothing to do with it. Okay? So, a sense of separation we have to feel from everything else in this world except Krishna. Right? We feel a sense of intimacy with this world and a distance from Krishna. The reason we feel distance from Krishna is because of the intimacy we feel with this world in a relationship of the enjoyer. Okay. Now I have to distance myself, reduce that intimacy. Okay. And how do I do that? By getting to know about the nature of this world, nature of Krishna, nature of who I am, what my position is. And when I know that, then this false intimacy will be broken. Okay? I will understand I have nothing to do here. I'm going to die. Okay? And I have nothing to do here. I mean, on a train, I have nothing to do here. My only duty is to worship Krishna. Okay? Anything else is illusory. Of course, this might appear very, very fanatical to someone new, right? My only duty is to worship Krishna. But the more one has the courage and the faith to accept this and act on it, that distinguishes a person who's advanced and who's not. Okay. So, if your question was, sorry, I didn't let you finish your question honestly, but I thought you were getting to the point of how do we actually do it? Okay, how do
Yeah,
we come to this point of artha and jijñāsu and jnānī and so on?
right,
That's what I assume. So
right,
the way to do that is uh, hear and have an open mind and challenge. Don't accept something, inquire, be intellectually curious, right? Find out, what will really make me happy. Don't be confined to some zones or boundaries or Indian attachments, BJP attachments, Congress attachments, familial attachments, family DT attachments, family Baba attachments, whatever it is. Throw all of them away by challenging intellectually. Like, think of it. Because Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Okay. Ultimately, I have to give up everything and surrender to Krishna. Now, how do I come out of it? Gradually. Use your intelligence. Here, use your intelligence. Understand the defect. Okay, what is the defect here? What is the defect here? This way, gradually move to that platform of pure devotional service. Okay, I hope
Thank
that
you so much,
helps.
Prabhuji. That certainly helps because
Yes.
the thing is that the fact that you made that we are attached to something and we are even we don't even know that we are attached to it, right? Like good food or anything for that matter, for the small things or the big things, the family attachment or the material attachments, we don't even know that we are attached to it until you are consciously evaluating all this as the limitations to reach God, right? I mean, it is only when you realize that I mean, attachment exists. There is a reason why we come to this material. They all are part of our life, but that should not hinder us in connecting to the Lord. Is what I'm getting out of this, Prabhuji. So from where I am at. So I appreciate this, Prabhuji. Thank you so very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. But yeah, just one point to emphasize is this: the starting point is our hearing about Krishna's niceness, and what is stopping us from, what is perpetrating our insensitivity towards Krishna is our absorption in matter. So a devotee's detachment comes from his anger towards matter because it has stood in so long, between me and Krishna. Okay, a devotee's detachment from matter doesn't come from the fact that matter gives him pain. It comes from the fact this matter has stopped me from being sensitive to my dear Lord for so long. Right? How many obstacles have had, and Krishna is still waiting for me? How kind is Krishna, and how insensitive have I been? Right? And what has made me so insensitive are these attachments. So the more I materially enjoy, I become insensitive to my own needs, others' needs, Krishna's needs. You see? So this is basically I want to emphasize that this detachment from matter is not like in Tamil they say varattu vairagya. It's not like that. Okay, so it is also born out of love only, because anything that is not born out of love for Krishna will make our hard-hearted, and also will be only temporary. Okay, that's something you might just want to emphasize that. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you,
Hare Prabhuji, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you, Guru. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.